Vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, 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 vaccine. 'Cause once you're dead, then that's a bit too late. I know I'm trying to be funny now, but I'm dead serious about the vaccine.
Welcome to another episode of the show. We are back with another episode. It always feels good to join you guys for another week. This is therapy. We love it. We love getting these episodes out to you guys, and I know you guys love it too. It's Wednesday. A new episode is here. I'm Justin. We are here with Dante. Dante, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing good, Justin. It's a good week. Start the week off right, put the positive vibes in the universe, because that's what we're all about here. How are you?
I'm great. We have a lot to get through on this episode. We have a list of topics to run through, so much drama. British tea is burning, in case y'all didn't know, but we'll talk about that later on in the episode. But if you guys are new to this show is all about bringing together different perspectives. We agree, we disagree, but most importantly, Dante and I come together to express our opinions on pop culture, entertainment, music, politics, and our own personal lives as young black men. So if you guys are open to an honest conversation, this is the podcast for you. I always say this podcast is not for everybody, it's for anybody. So tell your friends, tell your Mima, your Peepaw, your Wawa to subscribe and listen to the show. If you listen on Spotify, be sure to hit that following button, leave a rating, leave a review. We love to see it. Ratings and reviews, everybody says, oh, it helps us out. It doesn't really help us out. It's just for clout. But if this is your favorite show, why not leave us a review? Why not leave us a rating? Why not tell a friend, a Mima, or a Peepaw that you love this show? That way the show can grow. And before you know it, Dante and I might be on your TV screens. Hey, if I don't speak it, it might not happen. So you got to talk about it, right?
If you love this show, if you like this show, say it with your chest. Like our episode last week. Say it with your chest. Let everybody know. People are so quick to say bad things and scream bad things from the mountaintop. Go tell it on the mountain like that old Bible song. Go tell it on the mountain about how much you love polar opposites.
It's true. And people love it because our secret fans love it. They listen every week. And Dante thinks that I hate secret fans, but I actually love them because even though they listen in secret, they love the show at the end of the day. So the secret fans, their heart is beating a little bit faster because I just mentioned them. They're like getting all nervous and tensed up. It's okay. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show just like everybody else. Thank you so much for listening. So I appreciate you guys. Be sure to leave an anonymous question. Speaking of that, we will eventually devote an episode to answering all of your questions. So if you have sent something in the past and you're like, man, Dante and Justin have not read this, don't worry, it's coming. We will read it. So we want more questions from you guys. So feel free to click the link in the description, send in an anonymous question. If you have a question to ask us, if you have a scenario that you want us to give advice on, if you feel compelled to reach out in any way, feel free to do that. We love to see it. And also don't be afraid to reach out to us on social media as well. So all of the links to that are in the description. So follow us and Dante will follow back. So anyway, let's get into this episode.
Justin's gotta get it off his chest. Dante has got to get it off his chest. Justin and Dante gotta get it off their chest.
All right. Thank you, Julia. So, and off my chest this week, y'all know I'm from Texas. Dante's from Jersey. And in Texas, our silly governor decided that COVID is over. Take off the mask, everybody. Businesses are open 100%. Y'all go out there and infect each other with COVID. We hate to see it.
All businesses of any type are allowed to open 100%. That includes any type of entity in Texas. Also, I am ending the statewide mask mandate.
So he decided that time is up. We've had enough of this. We are oppressed. Let's remove the masks. And I hate this because it encourages people that already weren't wearing masks to feel that, okay, COVID is over. I can live freely because our governor, our highest state official, is telling us that it's okay to go maskless. And the thing is, this is a big deal, but at the same time, I understand that the people who weren't wearing masks already will continue to not wear masks, and the people that were wearing their mask will continue to wear their mask. So I'm one of those people. I don't care that he lifted this order. I'm going to continue to wear my mask because it's not about me, it's about other people as well. I would feel terrible if me not wearing a mask affected somebody's grandma, meemaw, peepaw, wawa. It's not fair. There's other people with compromised immune systems that I could be affecting, so I'm going to do my part to make sure that everybody else is okay. That's what matters to me. So it's silly that this mask mandate was lifted. DONTÉ, you live in a blue state. Would this ever happen in Jersey?
Nah, Phil Murphy don't play around with this COVID thing, so he wouldn't lift the mask mandate, especially like, you know, while we're still in the middle of this pandemic. I know people are out there getting inoculated and progress is being made, you know, towards getting us back to whatever normal is, but nah, there wouldn't be premature action taken. And what's important is what you said. I'm still going to wear my mask. You know, even when they say it's okay to not wear masks, I'm still going to wear mine for a while because I like to be sure. You know, I like to learn from other people's mistakes and not make my own when I don't have to.
The ignorant people in Texas are more emboldened. They feel that COVID is over and they can do whatever they want, but at the same time, their actions are affecting other people, and that's unfair. But there's nothing we can do about it. I can just control myself, do my part to ensure that everybody is safe until I get my vaccine. I can't wait. A lot of people might be scared. I'm not. I want this vaccine now. The closer I get to getting my vaccine is the closer we all get to going back to normal. So the sooner we can all get vaccinated, the better for everybody else.
Amen to that.
Amen, right? Somebody on Instagram, actually one of our listeners, posted something to their story, and this is what they posted. They posted a screenshot of it. Looks like somebody's Facebook status, and here's what they said. To everyone freaking out over Governor Abbott lifting the mask mandate and allowing businesses to 100% relax people, remember, he's a Republican, a conservative. He's not ordering you to take off your mask. He's giving you the freedom to choose to take off or keep the mask. He's not ordering businesses to open up 100%. He's giving businesses the freedom to decide for themselves to what extent they want to open. It's this little thing called liberty. If you want to keep wearing the mask, keep wearing the mask. If you own a business and can survive at 30% capacity and you want to stay at 30%, more power to you. If you're afraid and want to stay home, stay home. The only thing the governor did was give you back your liberty. Thank him and exercise your freedom. Okay, DONTÉ, what are your thoughts on what that person had to say on their Facebook status?
I mean, ever since this thing started, my opinion hasn't changed. Like, look, if you think it's a hoax, if you think it's overblown, if you feel like your liberties are being taken away, do whatever you gotta do. You know, go out there unprotected. It's like having unprotected sex. That's what breathing is now without a mask. It's having unprotected sex. Go out there, do your thing, breathe in that unfiltered air, hug your grandparents, your cousin with the weak immune system, you know, kill your bloodline off if that's what you want to do. I'm not wishing nothing bad on you, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't have sympathy for that.
Yeah. And also I need to say this. For anybody that's saying this is another strain of the flu, how many times does the flu kill 500,000 people in a short period of time? I've personally never seen that. This is not just a random strain of the flu. This is something serious. And with all things that are serious, you know, people should take precaution. Everybody should do their part, take their precautions when it's your time, take the vaccine, and hopefully we can go to normal really soon.
I mean, isn't that what we're all aiming for? Even the people who don't believe in this and think it's a hoax, aren't we all fighting the same battle of wanting to get back to, in air quotes, normal? So yes. Shouldn't we all be taking the proper precautions to make sure that we all get there? But, you know, the people on the other side might argue and say that you can get to the same destination by taking different directions there. So, you know, I know the directions I want to use to get there. So I'm not worried about me or mine.
My road is not leading to death. That's the road I'm taking. I don't know about y'all, but that's mine.
I do my best to avoid that road.
But that's what I needed to get off my chest, DONTÉ. Sir, what do you need to get off your chest this week?
Just adding on to your off my chest. Wear a mask, wear a condom. Said it before on here. Wear a mask, wear a condom.
Amen.
My off my chest is, it's very short and sweet this week. know yourself, know your worth. If you are not happy in your job or your relationship, whatever the situation may be, and you don't feel appreciated or you feel undervalued, you owe it to yourself to make the necessary changes to improve your situation. Go somewhere where you feel that your worth is being valued. That's all I have to say about that. More to come on that later.
Meghan Markle. Harry. See how this guy, he's always predicting the future and always predicting what we're going to be talking about later on that episode. Love it, Dante. Let's talk about this 800 credit score versus $20 million in cash. So I don't have a Twitter, but the people that do have a Twitter tells me that there's different branches of Twitter. There's white Twitter, there's black Twitter, there's LLC Twitter. So LLC Twitter is this group of people on Twitter that think they're so financially aware and they know better than everybody else. They're the ones that tell you to invest your stimulus check, open up an LLC and do this and do that. People are dying. People are dying. The last thing that they need to do is worrying about an LLC or how to grow this and that. They're trying to feed their family. So all these people that think they're so smart, be quiet.
There's people that are dying.
Well, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, jump in.
I'm sorry. So when Justice talking about LLC Twitter, I like to call them Rock Nation Brunch Twitter. And that's all they talk about. They think that they're so much smarter than everybody else, and they talk about flipping money. Like, you know, when you go buy that number 5 from McDonald's and you give them a 10 and they give you $2.50 back, you should take that $2.50, open up an LLC, and then get a corporate credit card. Like, stop all that talk. I'm tired of hearing y'all fake woke talk all this shit. You started listening to Jay-Z thinking that you could go buy $1 million art pieces if you flip your Jordans. Like, stop it. I'm not here for that talk.
Financial freedom, my only hope. Fuck living rich and dying broke. I bought some artwork for $1 million. 2 years later, that shit worth $2 million. Few years later, that shit worth
Sorry, I had to get that off my chest, Justin.
No, get it off your chest. The discussion was, would you rather have an 800 credit score or $20 million in cash? And I don't know why people were even debating this, because the obvious option is $20 million in cash. People strive for an 800 credit score so one day they can get $20 million. If you already have the option to take $20 million, why not take it? It's not the smarter thing to have an 800 credit score. And I think this thing is a statement on people's current credit score. Their credit score might be so bad that it's a dream to get an 800 credit score. So they equate it to $20 million in cash, and it doesn't make sense to me. Everybody's dream is to make enough money so that their family never has to work. Labor is not something that we should aspire to do. We shouldn't live to work. We work to live in this country. So anybody that says, oh, I'd rather have an 800 credit score, it makes no sense, because what you're striving for is the millions of dollars so you can build a legacy with.
Listen, if you're one of those people that said, oh, I want the $800 credit score, you're an idiot. Like, you're smooth brained. That's what they call stupid people in high society. You got a smooth brain. You don't got no wrinkles in that thing. It ain't firing on all cylinders. Listen, having an 800 credit score is like having $150,000 cash. So you take $150,000 cash versus 20 million cash. You see how your math ain't mathing right there?
It doesn't make sense.
If I had $20 million cash, I don't give a about a credit score no more, because I don't need credit for nothing. I got this money. I'm going to invest my money and make my money work for me. If I have $20 million, I don't give a about credit at this point. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about having $800 credit score over $20 million, like, stop, turn off the podcast right now. Just stop.
I will say, though, Dante, that I don't think that what we're saying right now should discourage people. I think that it's great that there's people online that have great business savvy, that find different routes to make money. I'll never talk down on that. Anybody that has aspirations for better, continue to strive for your goals. Don't let what we're saying right now discourage us. Obviously, we're joking, or at least I'll speak for myself. I'm joking, but in reality, you should always take $20 million in cash over an 800 credit score. But the larger scheme of this conversation is more so about, it's okay to strive for better. It's okay to want to be financially free. It's okay to be financially literate, because I think a lot of people in our community aren't. And I think that if people are trying to help people in some way, go for it. You know, help as many people as you can to achieve better for themselves, for them to raise their credit scores, for them to find better jobs so they're able to build for their futures and for their families. I'll never talk down on that, because that's the dream. Let's work to make enough money to where we don't have to work anymore. And for anybody that wants that for themselves, more power to you, and continue to work hard.
Yeah, no, I'm never going to to speak ill on people's dreams. You know, if it's a good dream, like if your dream is to hurt people, then nah, I ain't supporting that dream. You should go back to sleep and think about it. I ain't supporting that dream. But if your dream is to better your situation and the situation of people around you, then sure, I support you. But the way that they talk on LLC Twitter is talking down to people. Like, oh, you don't know money if you're going to take that $20 million in cash over an 800 credit score. Like, no, nigga, you don't know money. You don't know economics and finance. You a idiot.
Right.
But I digress.
Right. Like I said, y'all take the money. Any chance you get, take that 20 million if it's ever presented to you. But speaking of stupidity, well, this isn't really speaking of stupidity. I just wanted to segue. So a couple days ago, I was on the gram, browsing, and all of a sudden, Charlton sends me a DM and says Instagram took away likes. And I went back to my feed and I noticed that I wasn't seeing likes on my pictures. And I was like, dun, dun, dun. The day has come. They have taken away likes. The influencers are shaking. I remember a few months ago, Instagram made the announcement that soon they're going to take away likes, and everybody was crying, thinking it was World War III, the end of the world. And I was like, you know what? I think this is actually a good thing, because so many people care about the things that don't matter. They care about who followed them, who unfollowed them, how many likes they got on the picture, who is liking their picture, how does their feed look. None of that matters. We're worried about the wrong thing. Instagram used to be a place where people would post pictures casually, and then it became this thing where people started to take it too seriously, where if you don't hit a certain amount of likes, you're scared of what people will think about you. Let me just say this. Instagram is not real life. Contrary to popular belief, it's not. For me, it's a place where I connect to people that I like. Not everybody that I follow on Instagram is my friend. It's just people that I like, that I don't mind seeing their feed and seeing what kind of pictures they post. It's not something that's serious for me. Mostly, I use it to promote the show. Anytime a new episode comes out, you see me posting on the stories telling y'all to listen to the next episode. That's what it is for me. Social media and Instagram is whatever you choose to make of it. If you want to take it seriously and post artsy stuff, do that. If you want to post pictures of your nasty plates, you can do that too. Whatever it is for you, that's all that matters. And how many likes you get on a picture is not important. And I think when they remove that, if they do decide to do that, a lot of people will begin to value the things that matter versus the things that don't.
Y'all know my feelings on here. I done came on here and read people before. Listen, I saw the same thing. Like the likes, I couldn't see likes anymore. I'm like, well, one, I don't give a about this. Like, I don't derive my self-worth from how many people like my pictures on Instagram, because I gave y'all so many bars about how I feel about Instagram versus reality. Listen, you could be popping on Instagram, but are you popping on LinkedIn? Are you popping at the bank? Now I sound like LLC Twitter, right?
I know.
But sometimes they be making points. I feel bad for the people. Actually, no, I don't. But the people that derive their self-worth from Instagram, like, oh, I put this picture up 2 hours ago and only got 30 likes, so I'm going to take it down and post it again in a couple days and see if it gets more likes. Like, the people that do that, y'all have a special set of problems. Like, I don't know if you didn't get hugged enough, or you just in bad relationships, like whatever the situation may be. But I hope that you find whatever you're looking for on Instagram in yourself and in real life and in real life connections, not just people scrolling through their phone like zombies and double tapping a picture of you. Another problem I've always had with social media is, let's say Jesus came back, right? Jesus could post something on Instagram and he'll get some likes, but he won't get as many likes as a girl posting half naked. It's like everything is geared towards people's primal instincts, I guess I would say, or like social media is putting out there what you want people to see and what you want people to think about you. That's the one thing you can control, that narrative about yourself on social media, I would say. So for the people that are out there comparing their lives to other people's based off what they see on social media, that's not healthy, because nobody's going to post a picture on their worst day or go on there and tell you about their worst day or what they're going through. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I don't know. I think it's about priorities. I don't know how I came to have this mindset to where I don't care about what other people think, because I really don't. I follow the people that I want to follow, and the people that I don't care about, I don't follow them. But for me, my social media is just a fun space for me and the people that I like to interact, and for them to see a piece of my life. It's not something real. I don't post my entire life on there. It's just a piece of me and a way for me to express myself in a way I can't do publicly in a way. And it's a way for me to promote the show. That's all it is for me. But at the end of the day, stop caring about what other people think, because in reality, like DONTÉ said, people are just double tapping and moving on. Nobody's really concentrating on your caption or looking at the details of your picture. They say, oh, nice picture, like, and then that's the extent of it. So honestly, you might take it seriously, but for the casual people scrolling by, nobody takes it as seriously. So take that with a grain of salt also. Worry about the things that matter.
And like you said, people be losing friends over, hey, I commented on your picture and you didn't comment back. What was up with that? Like, are you being serious? You're a weirdo, man. Like,
yeah,
if that person's your friend, who gives a shit?
The algorithm too, sometimes my friends will post a picture, and if I'm browsing and I go on their feed, I'm like, I never saw this picture, and I'll give it a like. Like, I don't care like how long ago it was. I'm like, oh, I never saw this picture and I like it. So sometimes, you know, with the algorithm, some people aren't even seeing your post. So think about that too. That's all I have to say on that issue.
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Let's talk about Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss. It's been a while, DONTÉ, since I've read a Dr. Seuss book. I was so surprised to see him trending. The publisher or the people that are looking over his estate decided that there are 6 books that he published that have racial undertones. So to curb that, they've decided that they will cease production on those books.
Among the books pulled on what would have been Theodore Seuss Geisel's 117th birthday, the very first Dr. Seuss book, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, published in 1937, over a stereotypical drawing of an Asian man. 5 other titles gone too, effective immediately. These books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong, says a statement from Dr. Seuss Enterprises, echoing critics.
And a lot of people were outraged, you know, conservatives and their fight against cancel culture. It's so funny to me that they go so hard against cancel culture. Obviously, there's aspects of cancel culture where I'm not here for, but there's other parts of it that are warranted. So immediately when conservatives got a wind of this, they began to paint the left as always wanting to cancel things. And the left was never clamoring over Dr. Seuss from my knowledge. I don't know if you heard anything different, DONTÉ.
I did not, but I need to jump in here for a second. What you just said about, you know, the right and the conservatives saying, hey, the left is coming for Dr. Seuss. No, the left's not. Those books had racist imagery in them. And actually during World War II, you know, he did a lot of illustrations that weren't favorable of our Asian brothers and sisters out there. So, yeah, that those type of imagery should be pulled. But then you got, damn, we just been piling on Texas. You got the worst person in the world, Ted Cruz, coming on there and saying, Joe Biden's coming for Dr. Seuss and my kids will read One Fish, Two Fish. Joe Biden's probably as old as Dr. Seuss would be. Like, he ain't coming for Dr. Seuss. Like, this is the actual publisher saying, hey, these images are hurtful. We're not going to have this in our rotation anymore. And the right talks so much, like that's their new buzzword. You know, back in 2018, it was there's immigrants barreling towards our border right now. We got to stop this caravan.
The Democrat Party is openly inviting millions of illegal aliens to break our laws, violate our borders, and overwhelm our nation.
These are hardened criminals. These are tough people. And I don't want them in our country.
Now it's cancel culture. Yeah. You want to talk about cancel culture? Cancel culture is the way you're restricting rights for people to vote in Georgia, in Texas, in a bunch of these states. That's cancel culture. That's canceling democracy. So I want to hear about some goddamn children's book that has 75 words in it. Let's talk about the stuff that actually affects people on a day-to-day basis. Cancel culture is keeping people from making a livable wage in this country. Cancel culture is people not being able to afford their goddamn medicine. They have to choose between paying their bills and buying their medicine and rationing out their insulin. That's cancel culture. So get off your high horse.
Speak. Let me get out my prayer cloth. DONTÉ, dig in your pocket, get out your prayer cloth, dab your forehead, dab it. That was a prayer cloth moment. But I agree with everything that DONTÉ just said. To me, conservatives like to go out against cancel culture because they're escaping accountability. They know that there's some aspects of cancel culture that is wanting to hold people accountable. And because they don't want to be held accountable, they're painting cancel culture as this boogeyman and, ooh, they want to cancel everything. But it's not true. This is the publisher that decided to take 6 books out of circulation. It wasn't people on the left and liberals saying, oh, this Dr. Seuss is evil. Nobody was even talking about Dr. Seuss. But I do do think that it's kind of a slippery slope in a way. Is this the best solution to tackling things that are problematic from our past? I think that it's not. If they still want to keep the books in circulation, they can have an addendum or some kind of text where it says, you know, some of these images, we do not condone this, but it is a product of the time. It's the same thing with museums and these statues. There's a right place and a right time for these statues to be erected. I'm talking about like Confederate statues. Should they be on public grounds on display? No, because Black people see that as oppressive. And I think that when you erect a monument, it's for a reason. Things are immortalized so we can remember them and pay them honor. Why should we honor the Confederacy, the group that turned arms against this country? It doesn't really make sense. If you go to Germany, I doubt that you see, statues of Hitler erected everywhere. It doesn't make sense. When we are observing history, the right context to observe a Confederate statue would be in a museum. You can write the context and show the people why these people existed and what they stood for, and ultimately, history will judge them. That's the proper context. Even with HBO, when they put Gone with the Wind on HBO Max, and people were like, why is this on there? They took it down, and then they put it back up with a text at the beginning that said that some of the images portrayed, in this film are problematic. They kind of like gratify slavery, and this is not okay. It's a product of the time. And I think that it's more powerful to show these to people, but at the same time, teach the truth about what they represent in our current time frame. I don't think we should try and shield the truth from people or act as if it didn't exist. Put it in the proper context and educate people so we can move forward and we don't repeat the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, you need a prayer cloth now after that. I don't know. I'm not going to say I 100% agree with you, but I don't disagree with you either. I'll tackle the Dr. Seuss thing first. They cannot come out and say that they don't stand for this because they are literally his estate. So they stand for whatever he stands for. So they can't say we don't stand for this, because then you'd be lying about the artist or the author or the illustrator behind it, because he did stand for that. So I think in that situation, it's best to just pull those 6 books. Their estate's going to be fine forever. It's okay. But then you hit a nerve with me when you talked about the Confederate statues. Confederate statues should not be displayed in public anywhere in this country, or even the territories that this country claims. They were treasonous, that raised arms against the Union. So you said that a statue or a monument is brought up in celebration or in reverence of something. We should not be immortalizing treasonous traitors, losers. They should not be immortalized or remembered forever. They should have been forgotten. They should have been Gone with the Wind, like that fucking movie.
Gone with the Wind, fabulous. Okay?
So if every single Confederate statue should be taken down that's displayed in public. Every single military base named after a Confederate general should be taken down because they were treasonous and losers. The only reason they are not painted as such is because they are white.
I'm sure people are clenching their pearls as you said that, but it's the truth. And this podcast is all about telling the truth. I'm just going to tell, my truth. We're going to tell our truth because that's how we move forward and that's how we have open and honest conversations. I was never calling to cancel Dr. Seuss. If the publisher doesn't want to, publish these 6 books, that's their right because it was problematic and we need to learn from the past. That way we don't replicate those same things in the future.
Yeah, I mean, on the list of priorities to tackle things and try to fight for change, Dr. Seuss is not on the top of my list. You guys can sleep at night knowing that that's not on the top of my list. Trust me. Really, really don't care about that. But that's the fight that the other side wanted to pick.
And we'll never be royals. It's not in our blood. That kind of life's just not for us. I am a person that has never cared about the royals. People make a big deal about it. People love them and obsess over them. And I don't understand it. I get it. They are a monarchy. They represent what they represent, but I've never cared. But interestingly, when Meghan Markle married into the royal family, that's when I started paying attention. I wasn't paying close attention, but that's when I was following it a little bit, making sure that I'm in tune with what's happening in pop culture and in the real world. Oprah had a big interview with Harry and Meghan Markle.
Were you silent or were you silenced? I just want to make it clear to everybody, there is no subject that's off limits, almost unsurvivable sounds like there was a breaking point.
My biggest concern was history repeating itself.
You've said some pretty shocking things here. Wait, hold up, wait a minute.
If you guys don't know or haven't been following their situation, they have been having drama with the media over there and within the royal family as well. Obviously, Meghan Markle is biracial, and I think a big part of their discontent with her is the fact that she is biracial and she's marrying into, the family, and they didn't like that. So we've always heard rumblings about her situation and how she's not treated right, and the media over there has been tearing her name through the mud. There's racist undertones to the things that they're writing about her, and she's been feeling it. Harry has been feeling it. She's been feeling it. So I don't know when they officially announced that they're going to be moving to Canada and then to LA, but they announced in the past that they're going to be coming over here. And I think they've been living here for the past few months because they needed to get away from the oppressive behavior that they've been experiencing from the royal family and the media in the UK. So Oprah conducted an interview with them. It happened yesterday at the time of this recording, and everybody has been talking about it because finally Harry and Meghan get to tell their side of the story. They've been relatively quiet up to this point, and now they're giving Oprah free reign to ask them whatever they want, and they were open and honest with the interview. I said a lot. DONTÉ, you watched it. What did you think? Everybody has been talking about this.
I mean, overall, I just felt very sad for her and for Harry. Honestly, especially for their baby, that they brought this child into the world and this child was never going to be accepted by its family. They said we wouldn't be able to call your child a prince for whatever special reason they came up with it. Meghan was asking for help because she felt her mental health was suffering, and they were telling her, no, we don't do that here. That would create too much publicity.
And I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution.
So were you thinking of harming yourself? Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes. This was very, very clear.
It seems like they went through a very rough time. And I know that it's hard sometimes to sympathize and empathize with people who are rich, especially somebody that's royal and literally owns half the world. But everybody goes through stuff. Overall, it was just sad. And I think it took a lot of courage for them to get out there and put their family on blast like that.
What I'm going to say is everything is not what it seems. I feel like oftentimes when people look at celebrities, they idolize them and they want to emulate them. They want to be them. But we don't know what these celebrities are going through on the inside. I could never imagine what it's like to be a celebrity, let alone royalty or married into royalty. The pressure that you have, having to ignore what people are saying about you, lies that are being spread about you, there's nothing you can really do about it. It's an uncomfortable position to be in. So I feel for her because I understand that she might have been in over her head. She fell in love with somebody, but at the same time, she didn't realize the magnitude of what she was marrying into. And everything is not what it seems. Just because people have money, just because people live this luxurious life doesn't mean that they're happy. Because I think that since we're obviously not multimillionaires, we think that once we get their money, it's like, what are you complaining about? You have all this food, you have security, you live in a mansion. What could you be possibly complaining about? Because other people are going through, evictions and stuff. And it's like, man, if I had what she had, I would not be complaining. But it's not that easy. These people live a different life. And I've always said that just because people are accustomed to a certain lifestyle, that doesn't negate their humanity. They're still humans at the end of the day, and they have emotions just like the rest of us. Celebrities have feelings, and we should never forget that. That's why I'm always sad when I see all these celebrities getting cyberbullied and people writing these nasty comments, because they're treating them like they're not human. You have an egg as your profile picture, and nobody can see what you look like, and nobody knows your name, so you can feel free to type whatever you want without any consequences, and it's unfair. Definitely being in the public eye, they are scrutinized, and I feel for them. I think that whenever you're deciding to be with somebody, you also have to think about the family as well. You're not only marrying that individual, you're also marrying their family. And I think that if the family doesn't like you, you're going to have a hard time, you know, adjusting to that lifestyle because it's a lot of pressure and it's a lot to join into a family that is not embracing you. And on top of that, adding the fact that you're biracial, trying to join into this, you know, purely white family, there's going to be some problems there. And it's unfortunate that the racism that they're displaying towards her is affecting her mental health and is contributing to the reason why she came over here in the first place.
Relationships are hard, right? I think everybody agrees. So, like, there's parts of relationships that could be hard. So, and then you're in a relationship with somebody and their family doesn't like you, adds more pressure and more stress into your relationship. And then on top of that, you're in an interracial relationship. So there's a bunch of different layers to that, which have to suck for her. Some of the takeaways that I had, though, that I saw is, you know, somebody in the family asking how dark the baby's skin would be.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
And
who is having that conversation with you? What?
So,
there is a conversation. Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh.
You know, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, we know what it has to do with, but. And then also, his family cut him off financially. You know, he was living on inheritance that his mom left him. It was just a really good interview. I guess we're going to be having to cover the fallout from all of this pretty soon.
Yeah, the fallout is coming. People have said that, oh, Meghan better be careful because there's probably a price on her head or whatever. I think that she's going to be fine. I feel like they've been wanting to tell their side of the story for a long time, and Oprah gave them the space. Oprah, ever the opportunist, you know, gave her the space to rant and say whatever she needs to say. And it felt like they were holding back because I felt like if they wanted to name names, they could have. But I guess for the sake of the monarchy and for the sake of those people's reputations, they decided to keep that to themselves. But I felt like they could have went harder, honestly, but they decided to hold back.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to say it, then you know what? As long as, you know, it's Harry's family. So I would ask him first. Put somebody's name behind it. Be like, yeah, this is who asked me how dark my baby would be. This is who said I couldn't go get help for my mental health. Like, put a name behind it. Put it out there that who's making you feel this way. Besides the media coverage that she gets over there.
You would say the name?
I would.
Because I feel like that's causing more drama.
May the bridges we burn light our path to the future. That's all I got to say. I would. His own brother ain't talking to him. Like, come on. What do you have to lose at this point? You are always going to be you. You're always going to be Prince Harry. No matter what they say, you are Prince Harry. If your brother is letting, from everything that I'm reading online, they're saying it was probably Kate Middleton that said that to her and that those two always had a bad relationship. So your brother's wife is mistreating my wife, and now we're going to let that cause a rift between us. Nah, your brother need to man up. That's how I look at it.
I think it's tough. I'm not one for drama unless it's necessary. If it's necessary, then I'll feel free to call somebody out, but I'm not just going to do that and then have all these tabloids blowing this out of proportion because the interview was already enough drama alone. I don't think that she needed to do that, but I felt sad at the fact that they cut him off financially. They're not speaking to him all because he's marrying somebody that he loves. And that's the thing. For me, he must really love this girl to sacrifice everything, move across, you know, the world to another place just so they can exist in peace. His peace was more important than his duties as the prince, than making his family happy. Because he could easily married some British white girl and been
married his distant cousin, like they usually do. The prince and her, the queen and her husband are related. Yeah, that's what they do.
I mean, it's true. Read up about it. And this is making me want to watch The Crown. I know Steffi watches that show. It's making me want to learn more about the royal family because they are the OG colonizers. And It's interesting to like learn more about their dynamic because I've never cared before, and now I'm more intrigued to find out the inner workings of their family and, you know, why this is such a big deal. But I don't know, I knew the second that they got engaged that it was going to be drama. I didn't quite think it would be like this, but I knew it would be some drama because if you have an entirely white bloodline and all of a sudden you're introducing somebody that isn't all white, you know, they're going to be upset with it. It's racism. It says a lot. It really does.
I disagree with you on something that you said. When you said about unnecessary drama, I believe that protecting your spouse is necessary drama. You know, if his wife came to him and said like, hey, I contemplated suicide and some of the cause of this is your brother's wife, that's necessary drama. We got to go talk about that. We got to hash that out. I feel like that's necessary.
No, I mean, I feel like Harry has probably defended Meghan like privately among whoever is concerned, but I'm talking about in a public space. Like if it's not completely necessary for me to name drop somebody, that's what I'm trying to say, because all that's doing is causing more unnecessary drama. If I'm accepting this interview to reveal my truth and what I've been going through, that should be the extent of what she's saying. Going above and beyond to name drop somebody, say it was this person over here, Betty Sue over here, Parley May over here, then you're doing all this unnecessary stuff that's going to reverberate and be chaotic. And I don't think that that's a necessary thing to do. But I don't know. Oprah, I don't know how she's able to get these interviews. A lot of people I was reading were not fans of Oprah and thought that she was being messy in the interview. Oh my goodness. What? I remember when she said that, yeah, and they said something about the skin tone of my baby. Oprah was like, and who was saying that conversation? I'm like, Oprah, look at her trying to spin some stuff and trying to get some buzz for this interview. We see you, Oprah.
I mean, I thought she was pretty good in the interview. I think she was definitely very sympathetic, but it's not like those two committed a crime and you had to be like straight, no emotion, no leaning towards the side in this. But I thought she did a pretty good job with the interview. I thought it was entertaining. Like you said, I don't care about any of like the Crown or any of this British. Like I don't care about celebrity life in general. So, but I mean, to see what she was going through, you know, we need more people to be able to speak up and talk about their struggles because that's how things become normalized. That's how we'll be able to start calling, you know, stop calling mental health, and it's all just health. It's all just health. You know, this isn't a turkey bacon situation where turkey bacon ain't bacon, but mental health is still health. It should be covered 100% by your insurance company. Mental health is health.
No, I definitely agree. We need to normalize that ASAP. What do you say to the people that said she signed up for this? She should have known better. She knew what she was getting into. For her to be shocked and surprised that her treatment is baffling. Like, what do you think? And what do you say to those people that have that opinion?
How would she know that they would tell her that her son couldn't be a prince and that they wouldn't have security protection? There's no way to know that. So I think that premise is bullshit. There's no way for her to know that the British tabloids would treat her so bad. And that even the people in what she kept calling the firm, which is crazy to call family, you know, they run it like a business, that they would treat her so bad. I don't think there was a way for her to know about that.
I don't know. I guess I agree. I think she knew what she was signing up for, but I don't think she understood the magnitude of it. And I kind of felt for her in the sense that they didn't train her about, you know, all the things that you have to do, how to cross your legs and sit down, how to sip the tea, which fork to use, all of that stuff. Because it's a lot, because there's so many protocols that they have to undergo. And the fact that nobody taught her that was pretty sad. It's almost like they wanted to set her up to fail. The thing that I want to say is that I would not ever marry into a questionable family. I think that whenever you're deciding to, you know, pursue somebody seriously, you need to look into the background of the family that you're getting into. If your family has a racist past or is racist, I'm not marrying into that family. I don't care how much I love you. You are marrying not only that person, but you're marrying that family. And if that's something that hasn't been rectified and can't be rectified, then I'm not going to put myself through the stress of you hating me just because of who I am. I'm not going to do that because I want a happy home. I want my kids to be able to say, that's my grandfather, that's my grandma, and this is a loving family. I don't want, you know, because that's how problems begin. I feel like everybody should strive to have balance in their family, and it starts with marrying into a family that loves you for who you are and doesn't hate you because of your race.
You know, that's very interesting that you said that, you know, if you found out the family was racist, XYZ, you'd be like, hey, this just isn't for me. I respect that. But Harry decided to leave that. He chose love over his family and the status quo there. Would you take that same choice, or would you say before it even got to that, like, hey, I know what your family's about. I don't want to have to make you choose between love and your family. I'm going to remove myself from the situation. That's what you would do?
It's hard. It's hard. I think definitely I would have to be in that situation, but from an outsider's perspective, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I'll just say that. There's plenty of fish in the sea, and I'm going to protect my peace and find somebody else and another family that can love me for who I am. You always talk about protecting your peace, and if it doesn't love you, it ain't for you. You know, I'll find somebody and a family that is for me and live in happiness rather than living in discord.
Agree with you there. Because I was just asking because I thought you said was interesting, because I know that I'd be like, hey, I'm not going to put you in that situation because I think that's, unfair and a tough decision to make. So I would remove myself from the situation before it got that deep as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think that this Harry dude must really love her, because he's willing to sacrifice everything for her. So I really hope that their relationship works out, because if not, it's going to be like, I sacrificed all this stuff for you just for this relationship to not work. I'm shamed by my family. I'm an embarrassment. I gave this interview, tearing up my family and my dad and my brother, all for this relationship to not work. But I think that at this point, there's no going back. I think that this family just has to embrace her, because now there's kids involved. She's already had one kid, and now she's pregnant again, and now you're messing with the grandkids. And whenever kids are involved, you have to really look in the mirror and ask yourself, is what I'm fighting about worth it? Can it be fixed? And I don't think it can be fixed, because they're married, one, and now they've had kids together. So Meghan is not going anywhere. And you have to make a decision, because that son, Harry, might cut you out of his life if he feels so strongly about Meghan. And you have to own up to that. Is this worth it for you? Is it worth losing a son over not accepting who he wants to marry? What are the pros and cons, and what's the reason why you hate her? Really reflect. Is it because you don't like her personality? Is it the fact that you don't like that she's American? Is it the fact that you don't like that she's biracial? If those are the reasons, you have bigger fish to worry about, honestly. And you have to really do a deep dive to understand yourself and really pick apart your deficiencies and look in the mirror and realize that you are a racist. I'm always somebody that's gonna respect people, listen to them when they tell me they're going through stuff, and empathize with them, because that's all we can do. Because I always think about it, if I was in that situation, how would I want people to treat me? And I would want empathy.
Listen, I hope that everything works out for them and they stay together forever, because if it doesn't work out between them, he's going to have a lot of egg on his face and crawling back to the firm, as they call it, across the pond. She will probably get taken out like his mama did, all jokes aside, not being funny. So I hope for everybody involved that it works out for them.
Do you really think that Diana's death was not an accident? Do you think that somebody put a hit on her head and had her killed?
I plead the fifth. Best way to put it. Put it like this. Hold on. I'll answer it a little bit. I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility.
So he's saying it's on the table. It's not a no. That's for sure. It's not a no, but it's in the realm of possibility.
It's not a no.
Okay. So which story did you want to do next?
So getting back to Rock Nation Brunch Twitter, Jay-Z sold Tidal, his majority stake in Tidal, last week to the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. In 2015, Jay-Z bought Tidal for $56 million. He just sold this streaming service for $297 million. And I don't know a soul that has Tidal. So good for him, because that's a come up.
It is. It is. I don't know. I know one or two people that have Tidal. I don't know why they have it, because Tidal is much more expensive than the other streaming services. So I don't know, finessed a way to continue paying $5 a month for Apple Music. And I love it. Apple Music works for me. Some people might prefer Spotify, but I use Apple Music. It's just my go-to. But Tidal, I don't know anybody that was using that. I think the thing with Tidal is that their rollout was trash. I remember 5-6 years ago, they had this panel of like 10 to 12 celebrities, Madonna, Beyonce, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj. All of them like came out and signed this contract saying that, Tidal is about putting the artist first. But I think for a lot of people, it kind of rubbed them the wrong way because it was almost like they were looking at it like making the rich richer. And I think that that's why it never popped off. So I think that since they had a trash start, that's why, Tidal has been on a rocky road. And I feel like it's been struggling for a while. They tried to make it work for a while. It's like making Fetch work. Stop. It's not working. It's not working. Because I know that, they had Tidal exclusives where they would release their stuff on Tidal for a week and then it would go to streaming platforms, a week later. And I'm not seeing that anymore. I never see them hyping it up or talking about it. So it was not a surprise to see Jay-Z sell his majority stake in the company.
So you said something real interesting about people saying, hey, it felt like you're making the rich richer because more of the profit, more of the money is going into that artist's pocket. Isn't that what you would want if you're supporting that artist instead of it going to the 72 partners in Apple and then the people at their record company and everything like that? Like, wouldn't you want to support the artist who you enjoyed more so than all the middlemen in it? We've been so conditioned in this country to root for management over labor, right? And one of the best examples of it is the NFL, where they're like, these guys make too much money. What about the people that own the company, that own that team? Aren't they the ones that make too much money? They have conditioned you to hate labor and the people who are in your shoes and root for the people who are oppressing you, which is it boggles my mind. That's great marketing right there. That's great marketing.
Yeah, it's this idea that we just don't want to see other people win, or we see other people winning as our loss. And we have to look at the bigger picture. It's not always like that. Just because there are successful people that are like us doesn't mean we have to root for their downfall, because guess what? If you think this next person is so super successful, what about the person on top of them? What about the person that owns everything? Those are the people making the real money. These musicians and these rappers are making millions. These record executives, the head of the labels and streaming companies, are making billions. Who's the real enemy here? It goes back to the conversation that DONTÉ and I always have on this show. Who is your real enemy? DONTÉ on the Black Like Me episode made a great point about a lot of Trump supporters and how they throw their problems on other people. They'll throw their problems on Hispanic immigrants. They'll throw their problems on Black people. We are not your enemy. There is a group of people that are oppressing you, and I promise you it's not us, but you're brainwashed to worship this guy because you think that he's going to install, a wall on the border, or that he's going to somehow make you richer. It doesn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, under the system of capitalism, your fellow worker or employee who got a raise or got a promotion, yes, they're doing well, but there's other people that are doing better, that are making it okay to work under the conditions that you're living under. Why the minimum wage has not risen in years? Ask yourself that. Do Mexican immigrants have anything to do with that? I don't think so. Focus on the problems that you can control and elect officials that are trying to alleviate your situation. Stop blaming other people for your problems. They don't have anything to do with it. Everybody in this country is trying to make a great living for themselves, trying to build a legacy for their families. That's the goal. We are working now, so in the future, hopefully we don't have to. I don't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. I hope to be in a position to where I can make my money work for me. That's the end goal. Whenever people say, what is your dream job? I don't say anything because I don't live to work. Working is not something that I want to do. We work because we have to. We work because we need to pay the bills. That's the only reason people work. If it was up to everybody, nobody would be working because nobody wants to do that. Making money for the man is not what I was born to do.
Justin, get out your prayer cloth. DONTÉ, get out your prayer cloth. Everybody, get out your prayer cloth. Dab it off your head to breathe. Get out your prayer cloth.
You good there? You breaking out that prayer cloth? Because you just went in.
I'm dabbing my forehead as we speak. My forehead.
You really need to. I'm just gonna let that simmer and cool down because you went on so long and your points were so great that I forgot what I was going to say. And
dang,
sometimes that happens here, and it's okay. Oh no, I know what I was going to say. So back when I was younger, my pop, God rest his soul, said to me one time, we were watching basketball. And my cousin said something about Shaq, and he was like, "Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be rich like Shaq." And my pop said, "Your mind frame's all wrong there. You want to be rich like the guy that's signing Shaq's checks. That's how you want to be rich. Like, something I still think about to this day. You got to change the focus sometimes. But on to other news, Justin. Two last quick stories we can cover real quick and what's going on in the world. There was a black police officer in Florida that was fired for using the N-word. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think we should give the listeners more context. So there's a little bit of the article that I'll read. I won't read all of it. I just want to give y'all more context because I think that context is important. We always say that everything's not black and white, so I'm going to give y'all the shades of gray. A black police officer in Florida was fired this week after footage from his body camera showed him using the N-word during a personal phone call and while making an arrest last November. Delvin White, an 8-year veteran of the Tampa Police Department, was a school resource officer at Middleton High School in Tampa. He was fired Tuesday for violating a city policy that prohibits discriminatory conduct, according to a statement from the city. Body cam footage released by the department shows White driving around a parking lot, chatting with people, and saying goodbye after a high school football game on November 13th. He first uses the word while talking to himself, according to the footage. A few minutes later, White makes a personal phone call to a woman, and the two begin discussing dinner plans before talking about the differences in their jobs. He said, "Every day that I go to work and not one kid gets shot or stabbed, that means I've done my job, and that's a lot of responsibility. You don't have all that responsibility," White says, explaining the other person's job before speaking about his own. "Well, some will say you have more responsibility. You manage a multi-million-dollar property," he says, "or some ghetto," and then he says the N-word, "don't get shot or stabbed. I don't know, but to they mama, though, they worth $1 million. During an investigation, White told his supervisor that he used the N-word while making an arrest for trespassing on November 30th. According to the city's statement, police also released body cam footage of the arrest. And then they said, derogatory statements made by police officers jeopardize the trust that our department works to establish with our community. Tampa police officers are held to a higher standard, and incidents like this negatively impact the entire law enforcement profession. So that's some context for you guys. Oh, okay. So did you want to give your opinion first?
Yeah. I'm glad that you decided to read the whole story so everybody has a context. I'm really torn on it. On one hand, it's like, if you're going to say to these white officers or these, hey, you can't use this word, especially at work while your body cam is running, then nobody should be able to. But they have kept officers employed for a lot more egregious incidents. So that's where I'm confused about. That's what I'm on the fence about. It's like, did this man deserve to get fired for this when there's cops doing a lot worse things that still have their jobs that are just getting transferred and still patrolling the streets? That's my overall thought on it.
It's a double standard for sure, because like you said, there's people that have murdered people, they got paid leave or relocated to another, department. And then you have this guy who's black, by the way, saying the N-word, and he gets fired for it. I'll say that a rule is a rule, and you always have to follow workplace policies. So if they're firing this guy for saying the N-word on the job, they also need to hold other people to the same standard. And I hope that that's what's been happening with this police department. Obviously, we don't know if that's been happening, but the hope is that they've also been doing this to other police officers, and they weren't finding a way to just get rid of this guy because they've wanted to get rid of him. I think that we need to hold police to a high standard in this country. Their job, sometimes people can view it as one of the only jobs where you can make several mistakes, huge mistakes that can cost people their lives and still, hold your badge at the end of the day. That's not fair. If we make mistakes, we'll be held accountable for it and sometimes fired. So I don't know. I think that that's a harsh rule. If you're going to have a rule like that, give the guy a warning. And then if he does it again, then you can do whatever you want. But I think it's kind of unfair for somebody to do something like that and then just be fired. But at the same time, we don't know the context in which he was using it when he was on the job arresting somebody. So, if you're going to hold one police officer accountable, everybody has to be held to the same standard.
I can agree on that. And I think that's, where I'm leaning towards. Last story that we wanted to give to you. A college basketball coach said during a timeout, during a game to his team, which is predominantly black players, we need everybody to stay on the plantation. So he's the head coach of Creighton basketball, Coach McDermott, and his team was playing lazy defense and they lost a lead in a game. And he said, we need everybody to stay on the plantation. Too many people are leaving the plantation. And it caused an uproar because it got out that he said this. He had apologized to his team personally before this comment was made public, but he was suspended over the weekend from the team. You know, he said, "I'm sorry for the hurtful comments. I spoke out of turn, didn't know that this would affect people in this way." You know, the generic iOS press release. Here's my thing. If you said that phrase, that is not your first time saying that phrase. That's not like the first time you hear your parents say lit. Like, right. That's different. Stay on the plantation, you had to have said that before. I'm trying to understand what you meant by this analogy, my guy. What are your thoughts, Justin?
Well, this is an interesting position for you to take because with the Morgan Wallen situation, by the way, Morgan Wallen, since the last time we've spoken, his album is still the #1 album in the country. Interesting how he has that big scandal where he says the N-word, and it's almost like he's being rewarded for it by staying on top of the charts. But with that situation, you know, you didn't really have this opinion. You know, you never said that if somebody's saying the N-word and saying it with the hard ER, that they've probably said it before, and this wouldn't be the first time where, you know, they've said that. What do you think the punishment should be for the coach?
All this stuff happens so much that I'm not sure what the punishment should be anymore. And that's just me being honest with you, right? Like, are we saying that everybody needs to be fired? Are we saying that, you know, everybody gets a stern talking to and a suspension and they lose a couple paychecks? I don't know what the right punishment is for racism anymore because it's so commonplace. Like, how do you come up with a set of rules for punishing these offenses? Hey, you say the N-word with a hard ER once and here's the punishment. Oh man, you made a reference to slavery, here's the punishment. Like, do we draw up a playbook for this? I don't know.
But you're saying once with the Morgan Wallen thing, not to like go back to that, but you're saying once. Like, I doubt that that's the first time that he's ever said that. That's the first time he might have been recorded saying it. And the fact that he felt so free to say that in public, you know, that's the thing. If he's saying that in public, DONTÉ, what do you think he's saying in private?
Who knows what he's saying in private? Who knows what he's saying in private? Who knows what he says to that team? But I have to imagine that those young men would stand up and say something if they were being mistreated, because a lot of college athletes are doing that now.
What would you do as a player? Because you used to play basketball. What if your basketball coach used a reference like that? What would you do?
I wouldn't have got back in that game. I could tell you that. I wouldn't have got back in that game. And then at the press conference where they asked me why I didn't get back in the game, I would have let everybody know why I didn't get back in the game. But I wouldn't have continued to play. And you referenced the Morgan Wallen thing that we covered in an episode before. And you made a good point about, you know, somebody saying something it's probably not their first time saying it. There's some differences in these stories because not every situation is black and white, and I'm not defending this dude. What I will say is that this coach was completely sober in the middle of a game. That man was drunk. And we know what they say about drunken words, right? They're sober thoughts. So I'm pretty sure he's slanged the word around before, but that isn't the argument that we were having during that time, or the debate that we were having during that time. We've already settled this. But this coach, what do you suggest as the punishment for it?
I think that I would have to, consult the players. As an owner, I would consult the players, especially if it's a coach that's winning and the coach and the players have loved this guy beforehand. I would consult with them and ask them, are you comfortable with this guy continuing to coach the team? What are your thoughts on that? If you guys are uncomfortable, I'll make the executive decision to get rid of him, and we'll bring on somebody that respects you guys, that would never use that term ever. That's what I would do. And then if they say they're uncomfortable, I'll get rid of him and get somebody else. I'm always of the belief that there's plenty of fish in the sea. And yes, you can make a mistake, but sometimes mistakes have consequences. If somebody says the N-word with the hard ER at their job, more than likely they're going to be fired. Whether or not they meant it or not, they're going to get fired. And the same is probably going to apply to this situation as well. He didn't mean to say it. He still said it though. And then it brings up questions about, has he said that before? What are his thoughts about black players in private? What does he think about them? And these are, thoughts that are running through these players' minds, and they have a right to know and understand, who are you and what kind of character do you have as a coach of this team? Somebody that I'm supposed to listen to, somebody in some cases that's supposed to mentor me. If you're somebody that's a racist, I don't want that mentorship. I don't want you around me. And if the players say that they want him gone, I'll get somebody else in there.
I think talking to your team and the staff around him and everything like that would probably be the best way to go to figure out how do we remedy this situation. I think that is probably the best way to to come up with some sort of solution there.
Because I'm not with cancel culture. I'm with accountability culture. We need to rename it accountability culture. Hold people accountable for their mistakes. Canceling is stupid because nobody gets to learn. In this situation, me holding this coach accountable is me firing him. If that's what the players want, I fire him. And guess what? This coach is going to learn a really harsh lesson that what you say matters. Maybe next time he'll think before he speaks. And I promise you that he'll definitely learn a lesson. And next time he coaches somewhere, because I'm sure he'll get another job, he'll make sure to never say that again. So he learns a lesson. We get to move on. And at the end of the day, he's held accountable for what he did. And it should be no different with everybody else. I really want to get out of this idea of outrage and being mad. Sometimes it's justified. And if we can, use moments like these as a teachable moment, it'll have more power than to just scream and say this person is canceled without analyzing what they did and then having a discussion and a dialogue about it. I think that's a smarter thing to do.
The last thing I'll say is that I hate when people say that, people of color, black people, are overly sensitive anytime somebody brings up slavery or anything like that. Like, do you say to Jewish people, if he would have made the comment, yeah, everybody needs to stay in the concentration camp, do you say that to Jewish people, that they're being overly sensitive about it or that they need to move on? That's just something to think about there. Yeah. I don't think we're being sensitive at all.
And you can never move on from a situation if you haven't addressed it. And when DONTÉ and I do that reparations episode, it'll be good because we can't move on as a country until we address this wrong, rectify it, and then try to live as a better society. Other groups of people got reparations and they're making adjustments to live in a society that works for everybody and not just a few. So we'll have a lot to talk about when we get to that episode.
Y'all need to get y'all prayer cloths ready for that one. It's going to be a long and tough conversation. Might be uncomfortable, some of y'all. But that's what this show's about, right? Different perspectives. You're getting to learn our side of things. We're putting this out there for you. You could tell us what you think about it. You can tell us if you agree, disagree. We like to hear the feedback. This is about getting conversations started because a lot of this, some people listening to this, they might never know some of the things that we talk about and the way that other people of color are feeling about some of the things we talk about if they didn't listen to this. And that's why I think what we do is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always say I appreciate you guys. I love these conversations so much. I had to dab myself, get my prayer cloth out several times because it's like therapy. It really is. And we're having really good conversations that I think a lot of people would appreciate. So if you out there listening, love this show, you listen every week, as soon as you get that notification that a new episode is out, you're shaking and shimmying because you're excited, share that, excitement with somebody else. If you have a friend that you think would really love this show, share it, post it to your story, follow us on Instagram, share it with people that are smart, that are open to a good conversation, that want to hear about our experiences and our thoughts about all of the topics we address. I would really appreciate it if you shared the show, if you recommended it, if you gave us 5 stars or whatever you think. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you want to hear more of, because I know that I'm not perfect. I'm working towards perfection, but nothing is ever perfect. So if you guys feel like there's something we can work on, if you want us to talk about certain things, I'm open to it. I'm receptive to all ideas. So reach out if you feel compelled.
You got anything else, Justin, or should I take us home?
That's it for me. I love you guys. Keep listening. DONTÉ, take us out.
We are Polar Opposites. Thank you for listening to all of our old listeners, new listeners, secret listeners. We appreciate you. What you need to do is like, share, subscribe, download this episode, listen to it, undownload it, download it again, listen to it again, tell your friends to tell their friends about it. We are Polar Opposites. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Bye, guys.